Hello, everyone. My name is Amaia Perez, and I'm the Online Programming Director of RfR, and I'm here with Eric Wells, who is the RfR Support Group Director and also our co-host today. So welcome, Eric. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, let's go ahead and launch the poll. Like every week, we've got a poll that has got some questions designed to kind of get you in the mindset of what we're going to be talking about today. And the first question on the poll is, do you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, or any other religious holiday? And the answers are obviously yes, no, or I don't know. Question number 2 is, if you have children in your life or you're planning to have children, have you worried about whether or not to include Santa in your holiday rituals? Yes, no, or I don't have children. And the third question is, have you felt worried about what to say to religious family members or friends who invite you to a Christmas Eve church service? Yes, no, or I don't have religious family members. So those are the 3 poll questions. If you would answer how you see fit. Again, like I say every week, this is anonymous, and we're not going to know how you answer at all. All right, Amaia, what's next?
So the first thing is just to explain what it is that we do in RfRx. Basically, RfRx is a series of online weekly sessions where we bring in guests to discuss different topics that are relevant to anyone who has left religion or is in the process of leaving religion. So it's basically a place where we provide hopefully good advice and coping skills to anyone who needs them right now. So if you have any sort of questions, any feedback, any suggestions for ideas on how to improve the show, or how to, people that you want to see in the show, any sort of thing, we have an email address that you can send a message to, and that is rfrx@recoveringfromreligion.org. And then if you want to watch our previous RfRx sessions, they're all in our YouTube channel. Now, what it is that we do in RfR in general, because RfRx is just a project of recovering from religion. So recovering from religion, we have a mission statement, and that is that we offer hope, healing, and support to those who are struggling with issues of religion and non-belief. So the way we offer healing is via our helpline. And this is basically where you can call one of our helpline agents, or you can chat with them, and they will listen to you with an empathetic ear and no judgment or criticism to any issue that you may have, which is related to religion. This is 24/7 available support system. It's confidential and safe. So if you feel like you could really benefit from it, I highly encourage you to call one of our agents. They're absolutely lovely. Or if you prefer to chat, that's also absolutely okay. So yeah, that's one resource to keep in mind. And especially in the holidays, I feel like it can be quite useful just to have someone to speak to about your struggles. And apart from this helpline, we also offer healing via our resources. So we have a resource page where we have a massive list of different resources that include everything from fear of hell to how to accept yourself as maybe a member of the LGBTQ plus community. We have, resources on evolution. We have all sorts of resources of different kinds. We also have divided them by religions. So if you are a Muslim recovering from Islam, you can try to access specific resources for that. If you're a Christian recovering from Christianity, you can again access resources specific to that religion. So really, really helpful. Again, massive list of different resources, which include podcasts, articles, videos, anything you can imagine, you will find it there. So yeah, that's the healing bits. And now, Eric, why don't you explain hope and support, please?
Heck yeah, I will. All right, ladies and gentlemen, part of our mission statement is hope, and this is how we provide it. We have a blog, we have a podcast. Words are hard. And on these 2 media forms, we are sharing folks are sharing their stories on how they kind of got our religion, or where they're at in their lives. And one of the things that really kind of helped me was listening to other people share their stories, and that I could connect with things that had people who had similar situations, similar experiences. And when we hear those, oftentimes, if I'm struggling, or if you're struggling and you're listening to someone else share their story, you may be able to provide hope for you, kind of a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, hey, if this person can get through it, heck, I could probably get through it. Because it can be so difficult, so depressing, and like the world is just so dark when coming out of religion. And And it can be scary too. And so hearing folks who have gone on the other side of it and how they experience and how they dealt with it can be very beneficial. In addition to that, the final part of our mission statement, the support part of our mission statement, this is where we have the face-to-face interaction. This is where the long-term work, the issues that crop up that we don't really even realize are there, having our doubts, our concerns, working through some of our trauma that's happened in the past. These are things that we can bring up and talk about securely and safely inside of the support groups. Each one of our support group leaders across the world have been trained to listen empathetically and to create and provide that safe space for folks. I've been to so many of them over the last year, just being the support group director, which I'm incredibly grateful for. And I see new folks coming in all the time, and I see them as so courageous for taking that first step, clicking on the link, and joining this support group and not really knowing much about it. And so I'm so impressed with people who do come in and take a look at what is available for them at a support group. So you can find the nearest one to you at our meetup page, and the link is in the chat. But now that we're not meeting in person any longer for the time now, it's all virtual. So even if there isn't one like geographically close to you, feel free to join an active group, and you can hop into a meeting and participate. It's kind of cool to have these virtual support group meetings all over the place. In addition to that, we've talked about the helpline, we've talked about the support groups, and those are both peer supports. Like there's nobody really trained professionally there to help you. But more often than not, we're going to need some professional help. And that's why we've set up the Secular Therapy Project. The Secular Therapy Project consists of a directory where I can create an account, log in, and find a therapist close to me. Someone who has been vetted by a board of well-known and fantastic therapists, and they're vetted. Each one of these people, each one of these individuals, these mental health professionals who are wanting to join the secular therapy are made sure vetted to make sure that they have appropriate licensing in their state or their country, to make sure that they maintain a secular practice. So there's no risk of us being proselytized to and kind of wasting our time and our money in a place that is not going to help us. And then finally, to make sure that they're running an evidence-based practice and providing evidence-based treatments, treatments that have been backed up by scientific studies and peer-reviewed and things like that. So you can find hopefully find a local therapist that will work with you, work for you at seculartherapy.org. All right, Amaia, I've done my bit. What have you got else you want to say?
So the only two things before we jump to the actual session are, first of all, the online community. And the online community, if you don't know, is an online platform where you can chat and meet people that share similar backgrounds as you. So we have divided the online community in different groups, and we have all sorts of different groups. To be honest, it's growing every day. I feel like every time I log in our Slack platform, there's a new group coming up. So if you're a member from the LGBTQ plus community, we have a group for you. If you're female looking to only speak to other females, we have a group for you. If you have a family and you want to speak out the struggles that come with being ex-religious and family situations, having children, all those things, we have a group for you. If you have struggled with substance abuse, we have a group for you. We have groups for all sorts of different groups. So it's a great resource to use if you feel like you could really benefit from knowing people that share the similar backgrounds as you, because I feel like it's different when someone else just gets it, because they have also lived it. So yeah, definitely go check it out if you feel like you could benefit from it. And then the last thing I'm going to say before the actual RfRx is that volunteering is an amazing thing that we have all been doing in RfR. And I just want to encourage everyone to join us as a volunteer, because first of all, it's a great way of meeting people that share like a similar purpose as you do. It's a great way of developing new skills. If you're looking to, spend your time in something that's productive, that's also a great way of of doing that. And also, if you just want to help other people, it's just a beautiful charity that I feel like has so many different projects going on, and I'm sure we could definitely use your help. We have all sorts of different roles, so I'm sure we will find a place for you. So yeah, if you're interested in helping in RfR, please do consider becoming a volunteer. And all you have to do if you want to become a volunteer is just go to our volunteering page, and that is recoveringfromreligion.org/volunteer. Okay, now that we've said this incredibly long intro, Eric, do you wanna explain, the format and just get into the actual RfRx?
Yes, we're almost there. It's almost time, and you don't have to listen to us yammer on anymore. But like every week, this is kind of how we're going to run the meeting, then the discussion. For the first hour, we're going to bring on our guest, and she's fantastic. She's been here before. I'm so excited that she's back. We're going to talk for about an hour about the topic, and during that time, you probably are going to have some questions. So with your questions, type them into the chat here. ACD, the American or the Atheist Community of Discord, we're monitoring it over there too. So type your questions over there as well. We're going to collect those. And then during the second part of this discussion, we'll have the Q&A session for about 20 or 30 minutes. Once that's all wrapped up, we're going to get to hear from one of our fantastic RfR members to kind of conclude the meeting. I'm not sure who it is because there was like some discussion at the beginning, like who's this? Who's it going to be? But we'll hear from somebody with some fantastic closing thoughts. I promise you. Then after that, we're going to turn off the recording. We're going to allow folks to unmute themselves, and it's just kind of a hangout. Hopefully, our guest will be able to hang out with us for a little bit longer, so she can participate as well. But that's how it's going to go. So, without further ado, Amaia, why don't you invite our guest to start talking and introduce her?
Sure. So most of you will probably know who Kace Hodos is because she has been here so many times. And I feel like I always say this, but we keep bringing her back because she's amazing. And yeah, I'm just going to let you know a bit more about Kace and what's her background. But as I said, she's been here before. She knows exactly what she's doing. And today's topic, I feel like, is going to be really, really helpful to a lot of us. So anyway, Kace is a licensed therapist who is specialized in postpartum mood and anxiety disorders. She recently started a coaching service to provide secular resources, support, and a safe community to nonbelievers. And she currently lives in Wake Forest, NC, with her husband, son, and dog. So today we're going to talk about holidays without religion, which I feel like can be such a broad topic with so many different angles. And I know there's quite a few topics that we want to touch on. So how do we start addressing this topic of how to survive the holidays if you're a non-religious person?
I think, first of all, the holidays can be really hard for everybody, or for lots of people, I should say. It can be a really sad time, even during years when there is no global pandemic. There's a lot of stress involved in the holidays, and there's a lot of pressure to be joyful and gather with friends and spend a lot of money and eat a lot of food and drink a lot. And there's just so much pressure to do the holidays a certain way. And for a lot of people who don't enjoy that or who don't enjoy it, maybe they don't enjoy socializing, or don't enjoy spending a lot of money, or any of that stuff, it can feel kind of like a weird time of year. And like if you're not doing it right, then that you're not, I don't know, like you're doing something wrong. So with that said, like I just want to give everybody permission to like not enjoy the holidays if you don't enjoy it.
I love that because I feel like my family has been really, really good at not inviting many people to like our household. So we're all a bit of introverts, really. At least my dad and myself, we are definitely massive introverts. So we definitely love being just the four of us, my brother, my parents and myself, just on Christmas. But I know that for so many other families, that is not the case. And you may have to encounter very difficult family members. So yeah, I love that you said we don't have to enjoy it, because it's true, we don't have to really.
I'm a huge introvert too. And I grew up in a family of just loud and obnoxious drunk extroverts.
The worst nightmare.
For me too, the holidays, I don't know why, but they've always just been something I've struggled with. I'm also kind of an introvert, and I have a large family, and we'd get together, like 60 people would show up and be loud and obnoxious. And I'm like, I just want to go into the corner, read a book, and just let them do their thing. And eventually we'll be going back home. I'll grab a giant plate of food, and of course, but I enjoyed the food, but just didn't really enjoy enjoy that time.
I feel like there are so many people who have difficulty around this time of year. And so then you throw in, being maybe a new non-believer. Maybe you've left your religious faith and left your community behind. So on top of all of that difficulty, you're now feeling very isolated and lonely. And so it is a very lonely time of year for people who are single, or people who don't have close relationships with family, or don't have many friends. And so I definitely want to talk about that too.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with COVID now, I feel like this feeling of isolation can really affect people. But as you said, I feel like this isn't something that's exclusive to this year. Like many other times, many other years, it has happened that so many people just feel lonely. And I read this somewhere, it may not be true, but I think suicide rates kind of increase a bit in the holidays because people feel particularly vulnerable and lonely compared to, I don't know, this culture of happiness and collective love and all those things. So
I wouldn't be surprised if it were true, especially this year. I don't even want to know the statistics after we get through this pandemic of mental health, crises and suicide. And yeah, it's going to be really sad, I think, to find that all out,
Well, I'm really thankful that you kind of, in some sense, gave us permission to not necessarily like this time of year. I feel like there was always this expectation of me that I had to interact. I had to be okay with it. I had to be jolly and cheery, especially because I'm a fairly large man. And I think if I got my beard a little bit longer, I'd look like Santa. But I'm really glad that you kind of said that. And it's really helpful to hear that it's okay to not like this time of year.
I was preparing for this talk. I kept coming back to, I just kept thinking, like, I sound just like I did with the grief talk I did, a few months ago. It's very similar. And there's a lot of grief for people around this time of year. The holidays kind of bring up past losses that you've experienced before, maybe loss of relationships with family, or, if you had your heart broken. All the Hallmark movies that are on, they're all about like finding your true love at Christmas under the mistletoe, and like just not like that in reality for a lot of people.
And how do you have any tips for people who may be feeling, like they're not going to enjoy Christmas? There's too much going on or too little going on. Do you have any tips for these people in order to? I mean, I say these people like I'm not one of them, but yeah, do you have any tips for all of us to overcome these feelings, these negative feelings during the holidays?
I think you can limit maybe how much social media you expose yourself to, and maybe how much TV you watch, or whatever the kids are doing, streaming. Just kind of stay off the media, as much as you can. And maybe, and we're going to talk about this too a little bit later, but redefining what this time of year can mean for you is important, because that gives you a little bit of control, and you can, live your life and experience this time of year however you want to do it. So make sure that you take care of yourself. Make sure that, you don't, excessively spend money if that's not what, you can do, if that's not within your means, or if that's not what you're interested in doing. So kind of like not succumbing to the pressure that it seems like it's coming from everywhere.
Yeah. I feel like
it's the self-care piece. spend time with people. And this is, of course, like we're gonna be talking about this to give people tips for the future, not just this year. Surviving the holidays in a pandemic, it's going to look a lot different. But in the future, when you can be back, in close contact with people, if you don't feel like doing that, if you don't feel like going to all the parties, there's no reason that you have to. So I think just really tuning into what you feel like you need in order to get through.
Do you feel the same way about gifts? Because I know that in a lot of families, and I know I'm not generalizing, but in a lot of families, there is the female lead that kind of does everything for Christmas. So she buys all the presents, cooks all the meals, wraps every single present, sends everything. Do you have any advice for maybe, it doesn't necessarily have to be a female, but whoever takes care of Christmas that year? Do you have any advice on how to prioritize, perhaps? Because it can be a lot of things. There can be a lot of things going on. And I feel like it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to send anyone any gifts, but at the same time, you don't have to send the entire family like lots and lots of gifts. So do you have any sort of tips to prioritize or to maybe just manage the situation?
Speak up, and if you kind of feel yourself stepping into that role in your family every year, the one who is the person who keeps the gift list, or the person who buys all the groceries for the big meal or whatever it is. Like, I think setting boundaries is important because it's your time. And I think you have a conversation with your family. And when I say family, I'm trying to be inclusive of all different kinds of families. So a family can be a group of friends, small, large, whatever it may be for you. I think just really opening up a dialogue and saying, like, look, how do we want to do the holidays? Do we want to set a spending limit on the gifts or the number of gifts we give, or maybe no gifts? Maybe we donate to a charity instead, or something like that. So I think it's important to communicate with with the group of people that you're celebrating with, to just decide together how you want this time of year to look for you, because it's incredibly stressful.
So what are some of the things you feel that non-believers or folks who are beginning to doubt kind of struggle with? I think we talked about a couple of them, but are there any other things that you have on your list or you can think of?
I had a poll, I think. One of the questions was about Santa. So that's one of them. I think a lot of times, especially for new non-believers, they feel at a loss of this. They've lost this part of their identity. So when they've left their faith behind, it's like, oh, well, now what do I do about this, Christmas? Do I celebrate? Do I take part in all the traditional kinds of rituals? Or does that mean that I'm doing this non-believing thing wrong? And so Santa can be one of the things. That's interesting to see that most of us here do celebrate some type of religious holiday. That's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Less than a quarter of the attendees said yes, that they're worried about including Santa in the holiday rituals, but most actually, oddly enough, most of the people don't have children in this chat. But also 35% of the folks said no, they're not worried at all about including Santa.
I think one of them, and our third question is about attending a church service. And for a lot of people, that comes up with, like a lot of faiths have Christians have like a candlelight service on Christmas Eve and that kind of thing. And so if you live in a small town or a small community, you might get invited to things like that, or those communities that do those live nativity scenes. Those always crack me up.
Yeah, I've seen some of the folks at the live nativity scenes where it's so cold out, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, those poor folks. Like, I don't want to walk up with like a thermos of hot chocolate. Like, let's bring the 21st century into this first century and give them some hot chocolate.
But so I think sometimes, you can feel pressured to attend, religious types of traditions like that. And so that can be hard for some people to just say no, or, and the beauty of being a non-believer is that we get to make our own rules. So if you want to go to a service to please your family, and you're okay with it, fine, right? But if you don't feel comfortable doing that, it is okay. Again, I'm giving you permission to say no, that you have other plans, or you don't want to, or whatever you need to do to kind of get out of that awkward situation.
Let's kind of start. Let's start at the beginning. Like, what is all this? The main thing that here in America that we celebrate is Christmas. We see it everywhere, and it seems that it's the main group that celebrates it are the Christian groups. But what are some of the roots of the Christianity, or of Christmas itself?
Actually, like, cultures all over the world have been celebrating different types. They've had different types of celebrations and rituals associated with the winter solstice, which is today, in this hemisphere anyway. And because we've made it through the darkness, and we're at the longest, the shortest day of the year, the longest night. A lot of cultures have always celebrated that, because then you're going into the light. You're going into the part of the year where there's more daylight, and you can start, getting ready to plant your crops or whatever they did, and be warmer and have more light and all that. So it's a great reason to celebrate, right? And there's all kinds of historical solstice traditions that you can read about. Early Europeans had Yule was one. And the Yule tide, you hear that in the Christmas carols, but it's actually a celebration. Ancient Rome had Saturnalia, and I saw a T-shirt recently that said, "Keep the Saturn in Saturnalia." I love that. And that one, the ancient Roman festival, was all about just eating and drinking and having fun. Everything was turned upside down, where the servants became the bosses, and and they got to boss their masters around and things like that. And so it was just a really big party time. And so if you think about it, we've Christians have kind of taken all of those pagan rituals and mashed it up and turned it into Christmas. And actually, when Christians were trying to make this new idea of Christmas be more popular and have people accept it, that's basically why they took all these pre-existing traditions and just put a new label on it as Jesus's birthday.
Yeah, I read somewhere that Jesus's real birthday was somewhere in the summer. I may be wrong. So, I think I read it on Twitter, but I feel like it's so funny that literally in the other part of the time of the year, that's when he was born, quote unquote. But we still celebrate it on December. That's a bit strange.
Having the little nativity scene decoration in my house as a kid, and my mom would put it out on a little blanket of snow, and I was like, wait a minute, was it snowing in Jerusalem or wherever, Bethlehem? I was so confused, and I was like, and these guys, these three kings, they walk there, how did they know, how did they get there in time? It just made no sense. It still makes no sense. Yeah. So, Christians totally appropriated all of that stuff for their own purpose. And so non-believers, can do the same thing, right? We can have a Christmas tree or not. We can do Santa or not. We can enjoy the Christmas carols or not. We can make our own rules. And there's the religious songs, I think, are another part that maybe feels a little uncomfortable for non-believers. And I think sometimes there's just a little conflict in your head about it, because you might really like the tune of like "Oh Holy Night," but you don't really believe it's a holy night. But you might enjoy hearing like someone belt out that tune and really like hit those notes. And I feel like I just feel like it's okay, because there's no rules. You don't have to believe it to enjoy a song.
Yeah, you don't have to hate every single Christmas Christian song in order to be a proper atheist or a proper agnostic. That it's okay. You can still enjoy those things.
It seems like these holidays, the things we do around them, like give gifts or put up a tree or go out caroling, or even putting milk and cookies out for Santa. It seems like it's in the modern day. It seems like it's just something we do, but in all honesty, these are rituals. We kind of think of the word ritual as something that happened centuries and centuries ago, but these are still kind of ritualistic things that we do. And it seems like they also have some value for us as humans too. Do you feel like you can talk to that some?
Even the word ritual, I think, kind of has like a religious connotation for some people. It sounds kind of Catholic, but rituals are just simply something, that you decide is meaningful for you, and it becomes a tradition for you. Simple, and they are important. Just like when we had our grief talk, we talked about the rituals of grieving and mourning and things like that, and how that helps us have a little bit of control, and the same thing goes for holiday traditions and rituals. They kind of ground us, and they give us purpose, and they can create culture and community. And for people who have good relationships with their families and friends, and they have certain family traditions that are just unique to their little group, then that's meaningful for them, and that's part of who they are. And so I think rituals are important, but I don't think that there's any kind of prescribed ritual or a way to do things. I also think that sometimes you can do away with rituals. I think just because it's a ritual doesn't mean it has to be like set in stone forever. If your rituals aren't serving you anymore, you can always change them. I think they kind of have that like permanent, like they kind of sound like maybe they're supposed, like, we're stuck with them if we start practicing any kind of tradition. Like it's just, we have to do it. My mother was like that with every holiday. You had to have certain foods and serve it at a certain time, and like if anybody was late for that meal, then like she wanted to like toss them right out of the family. Like, so, but come on, like,
yeah,
it doesn't have to be that serious. I think it should be fun.
My grandmother on Christmas Eve every year would make this Jell-O, and it looked really good, except she threw walnuts on top of it. And I'm like, you ruined the Jell-O. Why would you have walnuts on top of Jell-O? And so I ended up just having to pick all that crap up, and I had a pile of walnuts. But she did this every single year, had this Jell-O with walnuts on it. And I go, who in their right mind? But apparently my grandma loved doing that. I think it was something that was generational and traditional for them at that time too.
Forget that Jell-O with those walnuts.
No, I will not. Yeah, I like that kind of allowing the traditions to and the rituals to kind of shift and change as they no longer work for you. And we really kind of see that just naturally as humans, because there is very few traditions or rituals that remain the same across the world, if any. We see Christmas celebrated differently in Germany and in Spain and Italy and America, and we see them celebrated all differently all over the world.
Yeah, fun fact, in the Basque Country, which is the north part of Spain where I'm from, we don't have Santa Claus as much. We have someone called Olencero. And Olencero is essentially a farmer who lives in a mountain with a donkey. He's always drunk and he eats a lot. And on Christmas Day, on Christmas Eve, he goes around giving gifts. So
Wait, who is drunk? The donkey or the farmer?
I suspect both, but mostly the farmer, mostly Olencero, that's his name. So yeah, you can definitely change your traditions. I mean, they have been changing all the time through history and different cultures. There's no set rules that you need to follow. And especially if for whatever reason you're spending this Christmas on your own, this could be maybe a nice opportunity to start doing rituals that serve a purpose to you instead of making sure everyone else is happy, and just try to make sure that you are happy first. And that's, the rituals that you are following are the ones that you want to, instead of the ones that you're supposed to have.
Yeah. I would encourage everybody, this has been a year like no other. So what better time to, reinvent the holidays for yourself and come up with something new as a tradition.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So let's then address the elephant in the room, which is either on this Christmas or another year, you go very happily to your family Christmas dinner, and then comes your uncle / aunt / random family member telling you all about Christ, telling you all about, how important it is to celebrate Jesus Christ and, God and all those things, blah, blah. What is the plan of action? How do you deal with religious family members or friends trying to convince you to go back to religion, or convince you that you're going to go to hell if you don't follow religion and all those things?
Oh, what a great question. I say, if there's booze around, just grab a bottle of wine and head out the door.
Oh no, that would be horrible for me. My mouth would just not stop going. It just would be bad.
I think if it depends on you and your personality and how you want to address it. You can be assertive and speak up for yourself, and walk away, or just say that that's great for you, but that's not what I believe. You can avoid those people, or you can decide to have a candid conversation, or you can just say oh, I'm getting a call, or I'm getting a text, or whatever. I say whatever you have to do to get to a safe place. Because I know we're kind of joking about it, but for a lot of people, it's traumatic. If you've been through religious trauma, any of that stuff is a reminder of that. And so you need to keep yourself safe and comfortable. So again, giving you permission, leave if that's, if you need to walk away, you can.
I do like the idea of working to set boundaries, because it's something that I've been struggling with, or I have struggled with, and probably still do if I really want to admit it, for a long time. I want, if somebody approaches me, I feel then my initial reaction is I have to engage with them. I have to give them reasons as to why I don't want to talk to them, or, but honestly, from these RfRx talks we've had, I've been able to practice setting boundaries and just saying no, and understanding that I don't have to give them a reason as to why I don't want to talk about it, or I don't want to engage, or I don't want to participate, or do a favor that I've been asked to do. And it's kind of freeing to take that power back. I've been surprised, and it's been an unexpected surprise.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think a lot of us are fearful of that kind of confrontation, and fearful of speaking up. But it can certainly be empowering. And even if the message is not received well, you've still done something really brave by speaking up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was talking to a friend the other day about this, and what to do if you realize that you are in this Christmas family dinner and everything is going wrong. And we had the idea of kind of treating it like it's a first date. So every female in this planet, and probably a lot of males to know that if you're going on a first date, especially if it's a blind date, you need to have a friend that if you send them a text, is going to call you to tell you that your house is on fire, your cat died, she's in the hospital, something horrible has happened. So it may be worth talking to a friend of yours before going to the Christmas dinner and just tell them, if I send you this message, please call me in a panic, cry if you need to, and just, start shouting that you need to get out of there because I need your help. Just a fun tip that you may want to consider if that's necessary. Hopefully it won't be. Hopefully the booze will be enough to keep you going through the night. But if it isn't, nobody will judge you if you do that too.
We had a comment in the chat. Someone suggested, "Oh, drop your drink on the carpet. It'll change the subject really fast."
Yeah, or do something like really unexpected that nobody like understands, like something really random. That'll definitely change the subject. Yeah, thank you. Are there any other struggles that you want to talk about? Of people who are facing these holidays on their own, or even worse with family members that they don't want to see. Is there any other like struggles that you want to talk over?
I think loneliness is the biggest one. And the idea of being forced to attend church or saying grace or, any of those kinds of things.
Yeah, let's talk about loneliness first, because I feel like so many people are going to deal with this year. And as I said before, other years also that will happen. So how can we deal with this? Let's say this is the first Christmas that you spend on your own, or this is not the first, but you've gone through it before and it's been awful. What coping skills do you have? I know you mentioned getting away from social media. Is there any other things that we can do in order to face this loneliness better?
Reach out to people, and I know everybody's, incredibly tired of Zoom calls by now, but it'll do, right? Like, it's not ideal. It's not the same as getting together in person with the people who make you feel safe and the people that you love. But we've got to do what we need to do right now to get through this. So reaching out to the helpline at RfR, tuning into like those, any kind of Facebook groups that you're in that are welcoming and safe, texting and calling the people that you always count on, and limiting the time that you spend with people who don't make you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
But just taking care of yourself too, like during that loneliness. Loneliness, I mean, it's like an epidemic, I think, especially in our country. And I think we have to lean into it a little bit, like it's painful. And we're not good at being alone, especially our American culture. We're just always like filling the silence with something. And we're so afraid of just being alone with our thoughts. And so I think that it's kind of like exposure therapy. You can face it. You can face that fear too, and look at being alone as an opportunity. What can you do with the time? And how can you, make the most of that time that you have alone? By like, I don't know, starting a new hobby or reading a book or, like I said, reaching out to people that you care about, journaling, that kind of thing. There are ways to cope with it, and to know that it's not the worst thing, right? Like being alone, it can be terrifying for a lot of people, but at some point you won't be alone, right? Like it is one of those. It's like that's kind of a mindfulness approach to it, like that it will come. That feeling of loneliness comes, and then it goes. And you are just there witnessing it, and you can turn it into an opportunity. You can turn it into just you notice, you observe that like, oh, I don't really like being alone. What is it about being alone that I don't like? And kind of digging into it and really like reflecting on it.
And there is a distinction between physically being alone and then also experiencing loneliness too. So I would imagine that if being alone doesn't come with a feeling of loneliness, then what's the problem?
A lot of people enjoy alone time,
Mm-hmm.
and that's great. Yeah. Loneliness is that feeling, that the painful part of that.
Yeah.
And you can certainly you can feel lonely and be surrounded by people, actually, if the people that are around you, don't contribute to your well-being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like this links very well to our next big topic, which was, what if you have to go to church during this time and you don't want to, and you're gonna feel lonely even if you're surrounded by people. How can you deal with? Well, I think I'm freezing up. Am I not? I think so.
Nope, you're doing great.
No? Okay, fantastic. Sorry. So sorry. How can we deal with you need to go to church. There's no way of escaping it, for whatever reason. It could be that you're underage. It could be that, I don't know, just for family pressures, you just don't feel like you're able to just not go. And when I say church, it can be any other sort of religious ritual that you don't want to attend to. Do you have any tips on how to deal with conflicted family members, and also with that feeling of loneliness that you get when you're surrounded by people who they don't really mean that much to you, or even if they do, you just don't feel like they understand you enough to not feel like you're lonely anyway?
That can be really stressful. And I think you get through it, in any way that you can, whether you are you just kind of in your head and maybe just ignoring what's going on around you, or if there's a way to get out of it, certainly get out of it. But we know, you mentioned underage, people, or who, younger people who may be living at home and are dependent on their parents, maybe financially, and they feel kind of forced to do those things. If there's no way to get out of it and you have to attend a service or, some kind of prayer ritual or something, you get through it. And it doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. You don't have to, they can't force you to believe.
I think that if I were in a similar situation, I think what I may do would be kind of make a plan afterwards. Okay, I have to go to this place I don't want to go to, but afterwards, I'm going to seek out the people that I can connect with much, much better. I'll either hop into the ACD Discord channel, or maybe go into a Facebook channel, or that I'm familiar with, or reach out to some of my friends and family that I can unload and vent to. And I feel like if I knew that kind of going into, I knew that was what I was going to do afterwards, kind of going into this event, that it would be less troublesome to me.
Debriefing plan.
Yeah.
And that's a good, skill for a lot of uncomfortable situations. People who are anxious socially, or if you're just anxious in general, having a plan to kind of to either decompress with people who get you afterwards, or to have some kind of ritual for yourself after, to kind of reward yourself for getting through the painful experience.
And I think that there's another resource available for folks. The RfR Helpline is always going to be open as well. Folks can call in or chat in to kind of talk about some of their feelings and concerns to there too. And we've got a lot of other crisis lines and lifelines that are resources, and that we'll be posting in a little bit too.
It's important to reach out to those organizations. And also, speaking of organizations, the holidays are a great time to donate to causes that you believe in. So maybe in lieu of, gift giving, you make a donation to your local food bank, or to RfR, or
Please do.
ACLU, Black Nonbelievers, Mandisa's organization, and all of these organizations could use your support. And I think it feels good to give back. And especially this time of year, like that could even become a new ritual for you.
Yeah, I think also a lot of people enjoy kind of filling out and sending greeting cards as well. A lot of people I see on Facebook are like, "Hey, who wants a greeting card? PM me and I'll send you one out." They really get excited about kind of doing that exercise as well. I enjoy pre and way post pandemic. I really enjoy actually going and volunteering somewhere, whether it's like a soup kitchen or cleaning up the highway, or maybe even going to a nursing home and spending some of my time with them and getting to know some folks. And I really do kind of enjoy that. It's a quiet way I feel for me to give back and not have to necessarily interact with the people I don't like to interact with.
Right. It's a win-win because you feel good about it and you're helping, you know. And I wanted to say something else about that. It really is pertaining to the pandemic. But think about the businesses in your local area, and you know, you could support, you know, getting takeout from your local, you know, restaurant that's probably just barely hanging on. So many businesses have had to close their doors, and so, you know, just thinking about, you know, your local community and what you can do to help out there.
Yeah, I find myself when we do order food out to tipping more than I normally would too, and it's intentionally done because I don't necessarily have a lot of money, but I know that there's folks out there who have less than me, and these servers are really struggling as well, and that, I don't know, it's kind of helpful for me at least.
For sure. I don't know about the US, but in the UK, the hospitality industry, it has been so brutally affected by the pandemic. And I feel like so many small businesses are just feeling the worst of the pandemic, and a lot of them have been closing. So yeah, I think that's great if you can either order takeouts or give a bigger tip, or both. Ideally, if you can afford to, then that'd be, yeah, I think those are both great ideas.
Local restaurants instead of presents. I don't know, you know, I think, and that is something, you know, giving back is something that is kind of another one of those traditions that Christians kind of just took over, and corrupted. But like, we can all give, right? Like we can all donate. Yeah. Not, you know, a lot of the charitable organizations are run by, you know, faith-based groups, but they do not have a monopoly on that. So
as an atheist, I really enjoy going to the supermarket, picking out a small infant, and then going and cooking them up so they're tender and mild. It's just delicious stuff. It's a holiday tradition that most of us atheists do. Absolutely. No, not at all.
I can confirm.
Do they have a tofu version of an infant, Amaia?
Of course. We have vegan children ready to eat. If you're a vegan or vegetarian, that's absolutely possible. I'd be even happy to make one myself if you're, you know, wanting to try one. So yeah, don't be shy. We're more than happy to invent it.
But that's another one, right? Like, it's a lot of pressure to set resolutions.
Yeah.
And all. So can we just I'm giving more permission. I'm writing permission slips for everybody tonight. Like, set your goals or not. Hey, if we got through this year, your job is done. So, right? Never hurt anybody, but let's just, you know, give ourselves a pat on the back for just getting through this. And
I do like the idea of kind of using the end of the year. It's totally arbitrary, but having the end of the year as a time where I can kind of reflect on some of the good things that happened that I really enjoyed, some of the things I didn't enjoy and I would want to maybe improve on. But again, like what you're saying, it's great to just not do the pressure of the New Year resolutions. I have set so many of those and then failed at so many of that, at maybe one less than the number I've set. It's a tough to have those expectations when I'm just not going to do it.
And it's just so much pressure. Let's just make a resolution to be kinder to ourselves.
I love that. That's really, really nice. And I feel like I really, really love what you said about if you've made it through this year, that's it, you won, all the power to you. That's all anyone could expect, really. So yeah, I think that's great. Thank you, Kace. Is there any other thing that you want to talk about this topic?
Just to reiterate that, religious people do not own the holidays. So make it your own. Think about what's important to you. Make it a season for reason.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right, folks, we have got a lot of resources for you to either utilize or share with some of your friends and family. We'll go ahead and get those posted into the YouTube description and as well as the chat here. There's opportunities if you're struggling and need to talk to someone. Obviously, you can call up and chat with RfR, but there's several other places, even some lifestyle specific places that you can connect with too. And we've also included some links, some donation links as well, if you are interested and have the means to donate to some great places. We're going to post some links as well to get you to let you know more about Kace if you want to kind of follow up with her. Amaia, do we have any questions that you'd like to start off with?
Yeah, definitely. So the first one, it's quite generic, but I feel like a lot of people can relate to it. So it says, what if you feel like generally just nobody gets you? And I feel like this can be something that definitely gets accentuated during Christmas or holidays anyway, whichever holiday you celebrate, because you may end up surrounded by people that you feel like they just don't get you. So how can we deal with this in both holidays and also just in general life, I guess?
You may feel like nobody gets you, but you get you. And there are communities out there for you. And you just, it can sometimes take a while to find those people, to find your tribe, and, but don't give up. But you're unique, and, that's awesome. It's kind of great that you feel like nobody gets you, because that means like you are an original. So, but, keep reaching out, keep looking for, communities that have the same interests that you do. And, it's quality over quantity anyway.
Oh my gosh, that's so brilliant.
That's more pressure, right? To have 1 million friends or followers, and, so your social media influencers have all those followers, but do they have relationships with those people? No. So find some good, relationships with people who have things in common, and take your time building those relationships. It doesn't happen overnight. People don't, you don't meet somebody and they totally get you right off the bat. I mean, I guess once in a while that happens, but for the most part, friendships and meaningful connections happen over time. It has to be nurtured. So take your time and don't rush it.
And I think that a way to possibly start off finding those people that may get you is, I've got hobbies, I've got interests, things that I actually like. And there are groups out there on Meetup, on Facebook, on, I don't know where else, but there's people out there who share those similar interests. It may not be like they share the whole thing, everything that I like, but they share an interest in photography, or they share an interest in goth culture, or they share an interest in whatever, little dolls from the 1940s. I don't know. Start joining those groups and talk about those interests, and maybe there'll be some people that you can connect with out there too. But that may be a good place to start to just identify your interests, identify what your hobbies are, and seek out those communities too.
It can really be hard if you're introverted, or maybe you enjoy things that are solo pursuits, like reading or, whatever. Or like photography. My husband's into photography, and every time he goes to a meetup, he's like, every photographer is just like on their own, like doing their thing, because like nobody wants to talk to each other.
There's like
it's
trade
so funny,
secrets.
but they have these meetups, and then but nobody talks to each other. They're just like on their own.
Well, that's actually a great excuse if you don't want to talk to family members. Just say that you're into photography, new random hobby that you got last night. Just start taking pictures and don't interact with anyone.
Yeah, just bring your camera to all the family events and just like pretend like you're taking some kind of like special, up close shot of the plant in the corner.
Yeah, very beautiful close up. Love it. Someone else is asking, this is my first Christmas since my long-term girlfriend and I broke up. I now have to celebrate Christmas with my family who won't stop asking about when I'm getting a partner. I don't want to stop celebrating the holidays with them, but I also can't get them to stop. Any advice?
For this person, do you feel like you could say, please stop asking me when I'm going to find a new partner? Like, can you speak up? I know it's hard to speak up. Like, it's much easier said than done. But I was that person for a long time. Like, I didn't get married until later in life. And just constantly, every time I was around my family, they would ask me that. And I would just kind of roll my eyes and avoid. But if you can't, if you can come up with some kind of response that feels, like in your words, if it feels okay for you to say out loud, like, maybe write it, like do some writing, like kind of write down what you'd like to say to these people. And then somehow like form a version of that you feel good about saying to them.
Yeah, I feel like we could definitely use like an RfRx session about how to break this kind of inner block of actually saying that you don't want something to happen or you want something to happen, just voicing your opinions, because I think it can be so challenging. I know I personally find it really difficult to tell someone to stop doing something or, to set boundaries. It's just really uncomfortable in the moment. So yeah, I can definitely understand if, that's a struggle, because it's just really, really difficult for sure.
Do you think like it might be beneficial if you were able to find someone that you trusted to kind of bounce off what you want to say or practice what you want to say, and hey, Mike, I get this question every time I'm with my family. Can you help me? Maybe I can bounce some things off you, practice what I want to say. It's like a safe space in order to do that kind of practicing. Do you think that'd be helpful at all?
Yeah. You practice it with somebody you trust until you feel comfortable, knowing that it's not going to be the same because, your family people, it's an intimidating situation. Mm-hmm. So you're naturally just afraid to speak up because, we're all pretty much all of us are afraid of confrontation because we don't know what's going to happen next, and kind of, and maybe even ask yourself, what is the worst that would happen if I actually told my family to please stop asking me those questions because it makes me feel uncomfortable, and if you speak up for yourself, from you, like you're saying, I feel hurt or I feel, I don't know, whatever you feel, angry or frustrated or whatever, when you ask me that. It's a lot of pressure and I'm dealing with this breakup. So I'm already in pain. So I really don't, I don't need the pressure to find somebody new. I'm working on it, whatever, like in your own words. If you can let them know, I think that what they're, how it's making you feel, sometimes that can get people to listen to you.
I like that. That's pretty cool.
Thank you so much, Kace. I feel like that's been so helpful, so appropriate for this time of the year, and something that we will definitely apply not only this year, but for sure, like next year. Well, hopefully there won't be a pandemic going on, fingers crossed. So yeah, thank you so much for being here again. I really, really appreciate that you came. And thank you, Eric, of course, for being the co-host.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of every RfRx session, we like to hear from you. So we're going to go ahead and launch a poll. And again, it's anonymous. Feel free to answer as you would like. Now, while that poll is running, I am so lucky to introduce you to Todd Yoder. You may have seen him early on as a co-host when we first started doing this RfRx, and now you get to see him again. He is just one hell of a person, and I'm so excited that he gets to close us out this evening. Well, Todd, welcome back. It's so good to see you, my friend.
Thank you, Eric. It's so good to be here. I always love these Monday nights with our special guests. And Kace, thank you. You always bring us such good, useful tools that we can put in our toolbox and that are practical, that can help us in just everyday living. And so we're always so happy that you're here. I do have to say, though, about your advice about, we made it through this year, that we, give ourselves a break. But, if you think this year was bad, wait till 2020 turns 21 and starts drinking. I think we may still be for a ride. I don't know. But all joking aside, my biggest takeaways tonight is giving ourselves permission to enjoy the holidays, to build the traditions that we want in our celebrations. And through the years, my family, we always had some pretty cool traditions that weren't religious. Things like on Christmas Eve, we always opened up gifts from the reindeers. And in Christmas afternoons, we would always have a huge talent show among our kids. And we had the biggest, ugliest trophy that we gave around, and the winner of the talent show would get to keep that for the whole year, and their name was on it and stuff. But and some traditions, like you said, we can do away with. I think one in my life that we need to take away, my kids, Christmas morning, my wife and I, we always stay in bed until the kids come to our bedroom and they jump in our beds and wake us up. And they still do that today. Last year, so my kids are 26 through 32. I have 4 of them. So you can imagine adult children jumping on my bed. Maybe we need to set that one aside. But anyhow, yes. We are so glad that all of you, our guests, are here that join us every Monday. And we are glad that we have resources that we can give and help people that are struggling. And we just want to remind everyone that if you're in a place in your life where you think that you can give back or you're able to give back, we are always looking for volunteers to help us. We have so many different roles that need to be filled, whether it's an agent or support group leaders or a blog writer or something. But if you feel like that you can give back in a way, and you're in a good place to do that, consider joining us as a volunteer. Maybe you can't do that, but you could give maybe some money to help. And if you can't do that, that's okay also. The number one thing that we want to do is make sure that we are being kind to ourselves. Be kind to yourself through this holiday, through your life, and keep on doing the heavy lifting, and we'll get through it together. Thank you.